The city was alive with bright lights, expensive cars, and loud music. In the middle of all this glamour lived a young millionaire named Ryan Carter. He had everything people dream about: wealth, charm, and power. Wherever he went, people admired him. But deep inside, Ryan was empty. He never believed in true love. For him, life was only about fun, parties, and games. One Friday night, Ryan was at his best friend Daniel's house. It was a huge party, filled with laughter, drinks, and loud music. Ryan's friends were sitting in a corner, talking and making jokes. They all knew Ryan's reputation. He could make any girl fall for him, and he could walk away without any regret. "Ryan, you think you are the king of love," Daniel said, laughing. Ryan smiled confidently. "Not the king, Daniel. Just better than most." Everyone laughed. But then one of his friends, Max, leaned forward and said, "I have an idea. Let's make a bet." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "What kind of bet?" Max smirked. "You always go after rich, glamorous girls. Girls who already know your lifestyle. What if, this time, you try something different? What if you make an ordinary girl fall for you? Someone simple. Someone who doesn't care about your money." The group laughed. It sounded impossible. A millionaire chasing an ordinary girl? It was like fire and water, they could never mix. Ryan leaned back in his chair, amused. "That's easy. Love is just a game. I can win anytime." Max shook his head. "No, Ryan. It won't be easy. Because this girl will not know your world. She will not care about your cars or your mansion. If you fail, you admit that you're not the best." The crowd of friends cheered. The challenge was set. Ryan looked around the room, his pride on the line. He couldn't back down. He smirked and raised his glass. "Fine. I accept your bet. Show me this ordinary girl." The night continued, but Ryan's mind kept going back to the bet. It was supposed to be fun, just another game. But little did he know, this game would change his entire life. The next morning, Ryan woke up late. He decided to go out for a drive in his black luxury car. The city was quiet, and he wanted some fresh air. As he drove through the streets, he noticed a small cafe at the corner of an old lane. It looked ordinary, nothing like the expensive restaurants he usually visited. Something about it caught his attention. He parked his car and walked inside. The cafe smelled of fresh coffee and warm bread. The place was small, filled with wooden tables and soft music. Behind the counter, a young woman was serving customers. She was not wearing fancy clothes, just a simple uniform. Her hair was tied back, and her face looked tired but kind. Ryan's eyes stayed on her. She was not like the women he usually met. There was no makeup, no designer clothes, no fake smile. Just a quiet, natural beauty. He walked to the counter. "One coffee, please," he said casually. The girl looked at him without much interest. "Sure. Please wait a moment." Her name was Emma, and she was working double shifts to take care of her sick mother. Life was not easy for her, but she never complained. To her, work was survival, not a choice. Ryan sat at a table and watched her. She moved quickly, balancing trays, serving food, and smiling politely at customers. She seemed strong, even though her world looked heavy. When Emma brought his coffee, Ryan tried to start a conversation. "You work here every day?" Emma nodded. "Yes. Morning to evening. It's my job." Her answer was short, simple. She didn't even look at him properly. Ryan was surprised. Most women noticed him instantly, his expensive clothes, his watch, his car. But Emma, she didn't care. He smiled to himself. This is interesting. That night, Ryan told his friends about the girl in the cafe. "I found her," he said confidently. "She's ordinary. Works as a waitress. Doesn't even look at me twice. Perfect for the bet." Max laughed. "Be careful, Ryan. Sometimes ordinary girls are harder to win." Ryan shrugged. "I've never lost a game, and I won't lose this one." The next day, Ryan returned to the cafe. He sat at the same table, ordered the same coffee. Emma noticed him, but again, She treated him like any other customer. "You don't usually see people like me in this cafe, do you?" Ryan teased. Emma looked at him, her eyes calm. "I see people, not their money." Her words cut through him. It was the first time someone had said that to him. For a second, he didn't know what to reply. When he left, Ryan smiled to himself. This bet was going to be more challenging than he thought. And somewhere deep inside, he felt a spark, something he had never felt before. He told himself it was just the bet. Just another game. But his heart was already whispering something else. And this was only the beginning. The next morning, Ryan woke up earlier than usual. His mind kept going back to the small cafe and the girl he saw there. Something about Emma stayed with him. She was different, and that difference pulled him in. He told himself again, this is just a bet. Nothing serious. I'm Ryan Carter. I don't lose. But deep down, there was a strange excitement inside him. Ryan drove back to the cafe. As he walked in, Emma was already busy serving customers. She noticed him but gave no special reaction. To her, he was just another customer. "Coffee again?" she asked politely. "Yes," Ryan replied with a smile. "And maybe a piece of cake today." Emma nodded, wrote it down, and walked away. No small talk, no extra smile. Just professional. Ryan watched her as she moved around the cafe. He noticed the way she carefully listened to customers, the way she handled children with patience, and the way she never showed her tiredness. When she returned with his order, Ryan tried again to start a conversation. "So, do you enjoy working here?" he asked. Emma shrugged. "It's a job. It helps me pay the bills." "Bills? You're a student." She shook her head. "No. I take care of my mother. She's sick. So, I work full-time." Ryan fell silent. He was not used to hearing such answers. Most women he met talked about fashion, parties, or expensive things. Emma was different. Her world was about responsibility and sacrifice. For a moment, he almost forgot it was a bet. He just listened. Over the next few days, Ryan kept visiting the cafe. At first, Emma thought he was just bored and looking for attention. She didn't take him seriously. "You come here a lot," she said one afternoon, placing his coffee on the table. Ryan grinned. "Maybe the coffee is too good." Emma rolled her eyes. "Or maybe you have nothing better to do." Her honesty surprised Ryan. Nobody ever spoke to him like that. Usually, people tried to impress him, but Emma didn't care who he was. That made him want to know her more. One rainy evening, Ryan walked into the cafe again. Outside, the storm was heavy, and water ran through the streets. The cafe was almost empty, just a few customers hiding from the rain. Emma looked tired, but she was still working. Ryan watched her closely. She was more than just a simple girl. She had a fire inside her, a quiet strength. When the cafe closed, Ryan noticed Emma standing outside, holding an umbrella. She looked worried. He walked toward her. "Do you need a ride?" he asked. Emma shook her head. "No, thank you. I'll take the bus." "In this storm?" Ryan said, pointing at the heavy rain. "Come on, I'll drop you home." Emma hesitated. She didn't like accepting help from strangers, especially rich strangers who acted too confident. But the buses were already late because of the storm. Finally, she agreed. "Fine. But only because of the rain," she said firmly. Inside the car, silence filled the space. Ryan tried to make small talk. "You must be really close to your mother," he said. "Yes," Emma replied softly. "She's all I have. I work hard so she can get her medicines. She was everything for me when I was little, and now it's my turn." Her voice was calm, but Ryan could feel the weight of her words. He had never thought about life in that way. He had money, luxury, freedom, but no real responsibility. Emma's life was hard, yet she carried it with strength. When they reached her small apartment, Emma quickly thanked him. "Thank you for the ride. Good night." Before Ryan could say anything, she stepped out and disappeared into the building. He sat in the car, staring at the door. For the first time, Ryan felt something unusual. This wasn't part of the bet anymore. Something inside him was changing. Later that night, Ryan met his friends again. They laughed when they heard about his progress. "So, did you win her heart already?" Max teased. Ryan shook his head slowly. "She's different. She doesn't care about my money. She doesn't even notice me half the time." Daniel laughed. "Then maybe you should quit the bet before you embarrass yourself." Ryan smirked but didn't reply. His pride wouldn't let him quit. But more than that, his heart told him to continue. Not for the bet, but for Emma. The next morning, Ryan returned to the cafe once again. This time, he came with flowers. He placed them on the counter with a smile. "For you," he said. Emma frowned. "I don't accept gifts from customers." "Why not?" "Because gifts come with expectations," she replied. Her answer struck him again. She was too real, too honest. He couldn't use the usual tricks with her. Ryan realized he needed to change his approach. If he wanted to win Emma's heart, he couldn't just throw money or charm at her. He had to understand her world. He had to be someone she could trust. And for the first time in his life, Ryan Carter, playboy, millionaire, and charmer, was nervous. Because this was not just a game anymore. This was the beginning of something real. Days turned into weeks. Every morning, Ryan's black car stopped near the small cafe, and every morning Emma rolled her eyes when she saw him. She was polite, but distant. She didn't understand why a millionaire would spend so much time in such an ordinary place. At first, Emma thought he was just another rich man playing games. She had seen such men before, people who thought money could buy everything. But Ryan was persistent. He didn't flirt too much, he didn't show off his wealth, and slowly, he began to surprise her. One afternoon, Ryan walked into the cafe holding 2 cups of coffee. Emma raised her eyebrows. "Why are you carrying coffee? Isn't that my job?" Ryan smiled. "This one is for you. I asked the guy at the counter to make it exactly how you like." Emma hesitated, then took the cup. "How do you even know how I like it?" "I've been watching," Ryan said honestly. "1 sugar, no cream. You drink it every day." For the first time, Emma laughed. It was a small laugh, but it was real. Ryan noticed the way her face lit up, and it made his heart beat faster. Slowly, their conversations grew longer. Ryan asked about her life, her dreams, and her struggles. Emma was always careful, never sharing too much. But Ryan listened patiently, something he had never done for anyone before. He discovered that Emma once dreamed of becoming a teacher. But life had been cruel. Her father left when she was young, and her mother's sickness forced her to give up her studies. Emma worked long hours to pay for medicines, rent, and bills. She carried a world of responsibility on her small shoulders. Ryan was touched. He had money, cars, and everything material, but nothing compared to Emma's courage. She was stronger than anyone he had ever met. One evening, Ryan noticed Emma struggling with heavy grocery bags outside the cafe. Without a word, he rushed forward and took them from her hands. "I can handle it," Emma protested. "I know," Ryan said gently. "But let me help anyway." They walked together in silence. Emma glanced at him. "Why do you keep coming back? You don't belong here, Ryan. You're from another world." Ryan paused, looking at her with serious eyes. "Maybe I don't belong in your world, Emma. But maybe your world is the only one that feels real." Emma stopped walking. For the first time, she didn't know how to answer. Something about his voice felt sincere. But her heart warned her, men like Ryan didn't change. Behind the scenes, Ryan started doing things quietly. He asked a doctor to visit Emma's mother and paid for medicines anonymously. He never told Emma, never took credit. He just wanted her life to be a little easier. But Emma was sharp. One day she found out that someone had cleared her mother's hospital bill. Suspicious, she confronted Ryan. "Did you do this?" she asked firmly. Ryan looked away. "It doesn't matter who did it." "It matters to me," Emma said. "I don't need your charity." Ryan quickly replied, "It wasn't charity. I just wanted to help." Her eyes softened for a moment, but she still shook her head. I don't want money to solve my problems. I want respect, Ryan. Can you understand that? Those words hit Ryan harder than anything. No one had ever rejected his wealth before. For the first time, he realized money meant nothing here. If he wanted Emma, he needed to give her something he had never given anyone, his heart. As days passed, Emma began to see a different side of Ryan. He still had his confident smile, but behind it, there was kindness. He helped her with small things, like fixing a broken chair in the cafe, or bringing her books to read during her break. Slowly, her walls started to lower. One evening, they sat outside the cafe after closing. The street was quiet, and the soft glow of streetlights fell on their faces. Emma whispered, "You know, sometimes I dream of a life where things are easier. Where my mother is healthy, and I can study again. But dreams don't come true for people like me." Ryan looked at her seriously. Dreams come true for people who believe in them. Maybe you just need someone to believe with you. Emma looked into his eyes, and for the first time, she saw no arrogance, no games, just sincerity. Her heart felt a small crack opening, a dangerous crack that could let feelings in. But Emma was careful. She had been hurt before, and she didn't want to trust too quickly. Still, she couldn't deny that Ryan was changing. And she couldn't deny that she was changing too. Meanwhile, Ryan's friends kept teasing him. "Is the girl falling for you yet?" Max laughed. Ryan didn't answer. For the first time, he didn't care about the bet. He didn't want to win a game anymore. He wanted to win Emma's heart, truly, deeply. And that scared him. Because for the first time, Ryan Carter was not in control. He was falling in love. Emma's life had slowly begun to change. She still worked long hours at the cafe, still struggled to balance bills and her mother's medicines, but now her days were not so lonely. Ryan was there. He was becoming part of her routine, part of her world. She noticed the way he listened to her stories, the way he helped without asking for anything in return. Sometimes he made her laugh, sometimes he made her think, and slowly, she began to trust him. But what Emma didn't know was that a dark shadow still hung over their relationship, the bet. One evening, Ryan's old friends gathered again at Daniel's mansion. The music was loud, glasses were raised, and laughter filled the air. But Ryan was not in the mood for wild fun anymore. His thoughts were far away, with Emma. Max noticed it and smirked. "So, how's our little bet going? Did the waitress fall for you yet?" Ryan's jaw tightened. "Don't call her that. Her name is Emma." Max laughed louder. "Wow. Ryan Carter, the heartbreaker, actually defending a girl? That's new." Daniel leaned forward. "Careful, Ryan. Don't forget why this all started. It was just a challenge. Don't tell me you're serious about her." Ryan stood up, frustrated. "It started as a bet, yes. But it's not a game anymore. Emma is different. She's real. She means something to me." The room fell silent for a moment, then burst into laughter. Max clapped his hands. "Unbelievable. The great Ryan Carter is falling in love with his own target." Ryan stormed out of the party, leaving his friends behind. He didn't care what they thought. All he cared about was protecting Emma from the ugly truth. He promised himself he would never let her know about the bet. But fate had other plans. A week later, Emma was walking home from the cafe when Max appeared out of nowhere. He smiled, but his smile was cruel. "So, you're the lucky girl," he said mockingly. Emma frowned. "Excuse me. You don't know, do you?" Max chuckled. "Ryan never told you how this all started." Emma's heart raced. "What are you talking about?" Max leaned closer, whispering the poison into her ears. "It was all a game. A bet. Ryan's challenge was to make a simple, ordinary girl like you fall in love with him. And guess what? You were the chosen one." Emma froze. The world around her seemed to collapse. She shook her head, refusing to believe it. "You're lying." But Max smirked. "Ask him yourself. Let's see if he dares to deny it." He walked away, leaving Emma standing in the cold night, her hands trembling and her eyes filled with tears. The next day, when Ryan entered the cafe, Emma's eyes were red. She looked at him not with trust, but with anger. "Emma, what happened?" Ryan asked, worried. Emma's voice was sharp. "Tell me the truth, Ryan. Was I just part of a bet?" Ryan froze. His heart dropped. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. "Answer me," Emma demanded, her voice breaking. Finally, Ryan whispered, "Yes, but..." Emma's face went pale. "So it's true." Ryan stepped closer. "Listen to me, Emma. Yes, it started as a bet. But it changed. I changed. I swear to you, everything I feel now is real. You are real." But Emma stepped back, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Do you know what you did to me? You made me believe in someone again. You made me lower my guard. And all this time, I was just your game." "Emma, please," Ryan begged, his voice desperate. "I never meant to hurt you. The bet was stupid, but my love is not. You're the only thing that matters to me now." Emma shook her head. "You had a choice, Ryan. You could have told me the truth. But you lied. And I can't love a liar." Her words cut through him like a knife. Ryan reached out, but Emma pulled away. She turned and walked out of the cafe, leaving him standing there, broken. That night, Ryan sat alone in his empty mansion. The walls felt colder than ever. For the first time in his life, he realized what true pain was. It wasn't losing money or power. It was losing the one person who gave his life meaning. He looked around at the expensive furniture, the glass chandeliers, the luxury that once made him proud. Now, it all felt meaningless. Without Emma, none of it mattered. Ryan whispered to himself, "I don't care about the bet. I don't care about winning. I just want her back." But Emma's voice echoed in his mind, "I can't love a liar." And Ryan knew he had lost the only thing that ever mattered. But deep inside, he also knew one thing: he would not give up. The days after Emma left felt like a punishment for Ryan. His mansion was silent, his expensive cars untouched, and his phone full of messages from friends he no longer cared about. For the first time in his life, Ryan Carter was alone, not because he chose to be, but because he had lost the only person who truly mattered. He kept thinking about Emma's words, "I can't love a liar." Those words cut deeper than any wound. He realized that no amount of money, charm, or games could heal what he had broken. If he wanted to win Emma back, he couldn't do it with wealth or promises. He had to prove that he had truly changed. One morning, Ryan stood in front of his mirror. His reflection showed the same expensive suit, the same confident man. But he didn't want to be that man anymore. That man was fake. That man hurt Emma. He made a decision. He left his glamorous world behind. Ryan sold one of his sports cars and donated the money to a children's hospital. He closed his schedule of endless parties and instead started volunteering at a local community center. He began working with real people, listening to their struggles, and learning about life outside luxury. For the first time, Ryan Carter was living like an ordinary man. But none of it was for show. He didn't take pictures, didn't tell the media, didn't even tell Emma. He was not trying to impress anyone. He was trying to change for real. Meanwhile, Emma tried to move on. She focused on her work and her mother, but her heart was restless. Sometimes, in quiet moments, she remembered Ryan's smile, his kindness, and the way he looked at her. She remembered how he had listened when nobody else did. But then she remembered the bet, the betrayal, and her heart hardened again. "No," she told herself. "I can't go back to him. He destroyed my trust." Months passed. Then one afternoon, Emma was walking home from the market when she saw a familiar figure helping children paint a wall at the community center. Her steps froze. It was Ryan. But he looked different. He wasn't wearing a suit. His hands were covered in paint, his hair messy, his shirt simple. He was laughing with the children, his smile warm and real. Emma's heart skipped. This was not the Ryan she had known before. This was someone else, someone genuine. Ryan noticed her standing there. For a moment, silence fell. The children ran away, leaving the two of them facing each other. "Emma," Ryan said softly, wiping his hands. "I didn't know you'd be here." Emma crossed her arms, her guard rising again. What are you doing here, Ryan? Ryan took a deep breath. Changing. For the first time in my life, I'm living honestly. No games. No bets. Just work, real work. Because I don't want to be the man who hurt you. I want to be better. Emma's eyes searched his face. She wanted to believe him, but her heart still carried scars. Why should I trust you now? She asked quietly. Ryan stepped closer, his voice trembling with emotion. Because this time, I'm not asking for your love. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want you to see that I am not the same man anymore. The bet was the worst mistake of my life, but loving you, that was the only thing I did right. Emma's eyes filled with tears. She looked away, struggling with her emotions. She wanted to stay angry, but his words felt sincere. Weeks passed, and slowly, Emma began to notice Ryan's consistency. He didn't push her. He didn't beg. He simply showed up in life, working hard, helping others, and respecting her space. One evening, Emma visited the community center. She saw Ryan fixing broken chairs, sweat dripping from his forehead, his hands rough from work. He looked nothing like the spoiled millionaire she once knew. And in that moment, she realized, this man had truly changed. Finally, one quiet evening, Ryan found Emma waiting outside the cafe where they first met. The streetlights glowed softly, and for a moment, it felt like time had come full circle. Emma looked at him with gentle eyes. You proved me wrong, Ryan. You're not a liar anymore. You've become someone I can believe in. Ryan's heart raced. Does that mean? Emma smiled faintly. It means I forgive you. And maybe, I love you too. Tears filled Ryan's eyes, but for the first time, they were tears of joy. He stepped forward and gently held her hand. No more bets, Emma, he whispered. Only love. Real love. And under the quiet night sky, their story finally found its truth. What began as a careless game ended as the most unexpected choice of all, a love that was real, tested, and unbreakable.